just finished playing Arknights Endfield for the past 3 hours, and I wanted to give you guys my first impression of the game so you could decide if this is something that you actually want to dive into, or if the game is much bigger than you expected. Let's dive into my thoughts. First, let's talk about my first 30 minutes inside the game. How does it feel right out of the gate? Well, you're probably going to spend your first 30 minutes inside of tutorials. It's definitely got a lot of how-to that leads you through the story. And the story doesn't end as you continue on through the game either. It is a very story narrative-driven game, which for some of you may be great. At times it definitely felt slow and I wish I could kind of speed through it so I can get into combat, while other times it was kind of nice to know about the different characters and about what my missions were in the game. The world that we're inside of in this game is absolutely gorgeous. The music inside of the game is gorgeous, the atmosphere is gorgeous, it is just amazing looking. It's hard to believe that it's a mobile game. Oh yeah, and by the way, it's actually cross-platform, so you could play on PC and other platforms as well, all compatible with mobile. I actually love it. It's really sweet. I tried it out and was playing it on a PC experience, and it was just really cool looking. It was very sci-fi feeling, futuristic, with gorgeous environments around us. It was an actual win. It pulled me into the game from the start. Now, the story. There's a lot of it. And if you're someone that doesn't like narrative or that doesn't like anything but combat, Arknights Endfield is probably not the game for you, because there is ongoing story that's going to take you through different parts of the game on a regular basis. I actually compared this game as a mishmash of multiple different games, including Genshin Impact, Destiny 2, and Borderlands. If you take the three of those games and squish them together and make a weird baby, you have this game right here. Arknights Endfield is a great combination of all of those, with the quests and the world that you get in Borderlands, with the overall atmosphere and obviously art style that you get from Genshin Impact, and it just has that futuristic HUD feeling world like you have inside of Destiny 2. Now, I talked about the world a little bit, but let's focus in a little bit more on visual quality and the art. The environments, absolutely gorgeous. The characters, I actually chose to play as the female character. I typically like to do that when I'm playing Gacha style anime games. They looked awesome. The polish was there. It literally was just as good as playing something like a Genshin Impact type game. If you like anime, you'll be into this. Now me, I'm not a massive anime person, and I still did enjoy it myself and could really appreciate the art. Let's discuss the UI, the map, the HUD. It was in-depth, but it took you through it slowly. The instructional period inside of the game is actually quite dense, and you're not gonna go into the game having no idea what you're doing, because they give you little pieces at a time. The map is quite nice, where you're able to teleport to different areas. Transportation is smooth and quick, and overall, you're not gonna find yourself lost. It's not a completely open world game. It's a linear open world-ish game, which for me is better. If you give me a completely open world, I'm gonna get lost and just run around for hours. Now, the combat. Most people play these types of games for the combat. There could have been more combat in the first 3 hours of my gameplay, and I would have been happy. Not that there wasn't a lot, but there could have been more. I would say there was a good 50% narrative, 30% combat, and 20% puzzles and trying to figure things out, or try to figure out where you get your energy from, where to connect, and things like that. So combat, I'd like more of it, but it was actually quite nice. Over time, you start to unlock different characters that fight alongside of you, and your ability to utilize your skills, their skills, convert between the both of you and all of you, your entire team, it's fun. It's a fun mechanic, and while you're playing, it looks really cool, but it's not too complicated to make those cool things happen. It's actually quite intuitive. You don't have to be button mashing like crazy. It's pretty darn smooth, and I had a great feeling of combat afterward. To be honest, outside of how amazing the game looks and sounds, combat is one of my favorite things. Now let's dive a little deeper into that, and that means the pace of the game. At times I found it a little slow. I wanted, as I just mentioned, more combat, less story. Now, of course, you could just kind of skip through some of the story, but at the same time, I was concerned that in the learning stages of the game, I was gonna skip through things that would teach me something. On top of that, the owl character, he's annoying. He is just one that you don't want to talk to as much as you have to. He's the main engineer, and you seem to have to keep going back to this nerdy guy time and time again. I wish it was a cooler NPC that you could interact with and you're like, oh, there's that cute anime character, or oh, there's that really cool looking character, but instead it's an owl that wears glasses. And as some of the people said on stream, why does an owl need to wear glasses? Now, working with your team and the different characters, like I mentioned, was super smooth. You could switch between characters very easily, switch between their skills very easily, and add all of their combos into your combat very easily. It was actually really fun, adding to my love of the combat system inside of the game. It didn't feel clunky like you would expect when you're playing with more than one character at a time. It was actually quite smooth, and when you're playing as whatever the main character is that you choose, your other characters are all doing their thing behind you to support you in battle, which is nice. So I would go forward with a melee character up in the mix in the fight, and then all of my ADS guys would be behind me, dropping their damage as well while I'm playing the tank. I found it really intuitive, really clean, and really smooth. There's many different characters in the game, and obviously you get more through a gacha mechanic where you're gonna have to open up chests and pull to get new characters. It reminds me very much of turn-based strategy games like Ethereal Restart, but that's fine. I don't hate that, although I don't love that mechanic. It comes with the genre and with the territory, I guess. But the characters themselves seem to have some really great identity. Their characters, their skills, attacks, and abilities were all quite different, at least from the ones that I encountered in the early stages of the game, and it felt like they were all adding something to the overall team. Many of them had story as well that went along with them, for those of you that like narrative and like the story. So as far as the characters themselves, I think they were pretty on point. The animations and the feedback that you get from the skills was also really nice. This game is super clean. You at no point are feeling like you're playing a janky knockoff type game. This feels like a AAA title as it is, and it feels like something that has just been worked on for years and all the kinks have been worked out. At least from my 3-hour experience, it was smooth. Now, you encounter a bunch of different enemies in the games, and some of the big bosses are even cooler than the normal enemies that you find, but within the 3-hour play period, I found many different types of enemies. And I even encountered some that were really difficult to beat. I opened up some portal and out came level 25s while I was level 10. That was a problem. I should have made sure that I didn't do that because I died. All good though, we just respawned and everything was fine, but the characters are fun. The enemies and bosses are really cool. They have cool mechanics. They look awesome. They sound awesome. And when you fight them, it's really rewarding when you're able to actually take them down. The difficulty curve was leading towards the easy side. I really didn't encounter anything that was so difficult, but then again, I was in the early stages of the game and the difficulty probably just wasn't ramped up that much yet, which is fine. You don't want to scare away your players in the first couple of hours. You want to have them invest and then throw the hard bosses at them that are going to stomp them into the ground. That being said, that is not the old school way of gaming. In older games, you would die in the first 5 minutes and have to spend a ton of time to figure out how to do it. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but there were definitely some games like that. Then you have the resource management. You have your bags and you have all of your crafting that you have to do a lot of things. This could become a lot. There is a lot that you have to do for gearing your character, for putting different weapons on your character, for leveling your character. It's not organically happening through gameplay. It's not like Borderlands, you just pick up a new cool weapon and man, that weapon has good stats, you're gonna rock with that. No, you get new weapons and then you could level up those weapons and change the gear around on all the characters. So it definitely has a turn-based strategy gearing system feel like in Raid Shadow Legends or like in Ethereal Restart. Those types of games have a similar gearing mechanic as the one we're talking about here. So I don't love that in Arknights Endfield. I feel like you're doing a lot of farming and gathering and crafting and then gearing on top of that, leveling your character on top of that, all to go into a world to get into the fights. For me, for a mobile experience, it was a bit much. And obviously it's something that you will become accustomed to over time, but it was not an easy mechanic to understand everything right off the bat, and it definitely is going to take some practice. So just know that before you jump in. The maps and exploration were really cool. The maps were massive, but the tasks that you were going on were very linear. You would have a post that was marked, and you would just have to navigate towards that yellow mark. Not too difficult to do. You could teleport to a lot of them, but along the way, there were a lot of things that you could find, that you could farm, that you could unlock, and enemies that you could fight. So sometimes it was worth taking the longer way to that post. At the end of the day, the maps looked incredible. There was a lot going on them, but you weren't forced to engage in all of it. Progression inside of the game, it's slow. It's not rushing you to level 100 so that you can then be the beast boss within the first 5 hours. No, you're going to have to put in the time. You're going to have to farm the resources so that you can craft the gear and upgrade the gear and then upgrade your character. It's definitely going to be a mechanic that takes you time. So if you're looking for instant gratification for a max level character, this is the wrong game. It's going to take you days, weeks to get to a level character where you're like, okay, I'm kind of feeling good. But that in a way is also good. When you think about mobile games, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to play this mobile game for a few weeks and then move on to the next. While this one, it could actually be a really long gameplay experience. I mean, it touts a 40 to 60 hour campaign. That's a lot, especially for mobile gamers. Now let's talk about the gacha mechanic, the system where you have your banners, which are essentially the champions that you're going to unlock, and the chests that you get them from. They have the standard, once you pull 80, you're guaranteed to get the right champion that you're looking for, but I don't love that mechanic in the genre. I know this is a gacha game with an action RPG element to it, but I'm used to that mechanic in turn-based strategy games. Take Etheria Restart. You have to unlock the character from a banner, you then have to gear them properly, level them up, and then you take them into turn-based strategy battles. Here, it's very similar, but you're taking them into an open world where you are then going to fight enemies that you encounter in an action RPG style realm. I don't love the gacha mechanic. It's essentially the pay-to-win element of the game, which this definitely does have. And of course, you can unlock a bunch of these characters for free, just some earning rewards that the game has to offer. But it's going to be easier if you open up your wallet and purchase some of them that are going to be maybe easier to get with cash money, or a heck of a grind to get if you're trying to do it for free. But they're going to be the ones that you really do want, because they're going to be the stronger ones in battle. That said, you could still play completely free to play. I just don't love how the banners work in the entire gacha system, but that's me overall in the space more than specifically inside of Arknights Endfield. The free-to-play opportunity seems to be there. You don't have to pull any banners for cash money. You could do all of it for free, but you may not have the strongest team in the end game, but at the end of the day, who cares? It's a PvE game. It's not like you're just going to be diving into tons of PvP excitement. I would say if you're a free-to-play player, which was how I played my experience, there's a lot of fun to be had here, and it should definitely be a game that you go towards. Does it have pay-to-win elements? Of course it does, man. It's a freaking mobile game, but you can avoid it. Now, talking about performance, I'm going to talk about it on my phone, and I'm going to talk about it on my PC. I played my majority of gameplay on the PC, and it was smooth. Now, I do have a decent PC. I have a 3090 in my PC, so for anyone that knows, it's a decent graphics card. It was one of the best about 2 years ago. Now there are better ones, and it ran super smooth, max settings, everything pumping, and it were no issues at all. And I was live streaming and recording at the same time. So the gameplay, the live happening across multiple browser sites, we had it recording and just being live, pulling that connection, and it was smooth, no issues whatsoever. On mobile, I mean, it was easy, right? Your mobile phone can handle it. It adjusts settings as it goes. I'm playing on a freaking iPhone 14 right here. It's not even a new iPhone. You think me, a mobile gamer, I'd have the newest phone. No, we don't. It's fine. It's fine. And it ran fine on it too. Sound, design, music, A+. The game sounded awesome. The music was incredible. Even even the voices being used, minus that annoying owl, were really good. Everything was smooth. I liked it. The sound was awesome. I actually felt pumped going into some of the battles. The learning curve here, well, there was a lot to learn, but the game does a really nice job holding your hand with the tutorials. I'm usually someone who skips through tutorials and then figures things out myself, but in this instance, I actually went slow, followed the tutorials, and learned how to do things, and it held your hand very nicely. Because of the depth of the game and how much there is to learn, they really needed to put that good system in place, and they did. I think they did a great job with it. If you compare this to other gacha-style games, I think this one is kind of up on the top. I mean, comparing it to Genshin Impact, which was one of the most popular of all time, it's just as fun. I really enjoyed it just as much as I did Genshin when I played that back in the day. It's been a while, but I enjoyed that one too. I don't play this and say, oh wow, this is really lacking, it's not as good in a certain area. I think that it was really a lot of fun, and I don't think you can go wrong playing it when comparing to others in the genre. So who is this game for? Well, it's not for your typical mobile, stereotypical gamer, the one that wants to play for 10 minutes and log off. This is definitely going to be longer session gamers, players that maybe want to play on PC and then take the experience with them while they're waiting online at the grocery store to play on mobile. But your mobile experience can be really good as well, even if you don't have a PC, but you are going to need to be used to and ready for longer play sessions. I know some mobile gamers are looking for those games that have those longer play sessions and games that have that depth. In that case, this game is for you. If you're looking for some quick rounds of something, no, this is going to be overwhelming. Now, my overall impression of the game was it is quite good. It definitely feels much more like a PC experience, like a full-blown AAA title than it does a typical mobile game. Now, mobile games are making their way more and more into these larger experiences, which is actually a great thing for mobile gaming. But as I just mentioned, it's not for your old school mobile gamers looking for a quick fix of something. Overall, I think this game, for its genre, is one of the top right now. I don't really give things a score, but if I would, this thing would be up in the A category. Now, please keep in mind, these are my initial impressions. I didn't spend 100 hours in the game and play. This is me playing in one big long live stream, which is available for you to watch on my channel if you want to. Approximately 3 hours of gameplay, getting those initial thoughts. That's what's going to have you determine whether you want to keep playing or not. What do those first few hours feel like? Are they good or are they bad? And in this case, I think they are right up your alley and quite good. Make sure you subscribe for daily videos telling you everything you need to know about all the mobile games.